Breaking news, everybody. Israel has just bombed Iran, and Iran is getting ready to retaliate. All praises to the Heavenly Father, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his son Yahweh Shai, who your mama and your auntie called Jesus. Real name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. This is your brother Hassad, and this is what I'm talking about, fresh off the skillet breaking news. This is within less than 30 minutes ago. Again, Israel has just bombed Iran. They had some airstrikes sent to Tehran, their capital. This is breaking news. And so we're going to go over this. We're going to go through a little bit of the history of what's going on in that region. And then based on that, we're going to then go into the Bible and let you guys know what is getting ready to happen. All right, because everyone who believes in the Bible, we are in a very unique position. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to get into the information. But we literally have the script of what's getting ready to happen. We know exactly what is getting ready to transpire. So we don't have to be worried. This is why Jesus Christ told us right here. I'm going to read this and we're going to get into some of the information. In Matthew chapter 24, this is what the Bible says. In Matthew chapter 24, Christ says this. Let me go right here. Matthew chapter 24, and I'll start at verse. Where do I want to start? We'll go right here. Matthew 24, my bad. This Matthew chapter 24, and I'll start at verse 3. It says, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when these things shall be, and what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world?" So the disciples asked Christ, when is the end of the world going to come? How are we going to know that that's what's getting ready to happen? The end of the world, that is. And we're going to read about what Christ says, and it's going to clearly point to the end. It's going to show us what we're looking at right now. So if you go on, look at verse 6. "And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." Now, someone might say, well, we've been hearing that for years. My grandma used to tell me about that during Iraq and Afghanistan, and people were saying that during the war of Vietnam. But this is very specific what we're getting ready to read about, because we can not only go into the Bible to talk about war, but specific wars and the specific peoples and entities that would be fighting these wars. I'm going to prove that momentarily. So again, let me zoom in a little bit for everybody. Christ says, "You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." So we're going to read about all that. But first, let's get to some of this information. So this is what we see right here. This is in Tehran. So there's multiple buildings in the capital of Iran. So this would be the equivalent of Russia bombing Washington, D.C. Right? And look what happened. Let's just read this, or not read this. Look at this video right here. Now, what's really interesting, everybody, is, and we're going to look at some of these articles. These articles are going to say that Israel has bombed some military installations, some military targets. Does this look like a military target to you guys? Or does this look like a residential area? Does this not look like an apartment complex? Y'all let me know. What does this look like? Let me zoom in for everybody. Does this look like a military installation? Or does this look like an apartment complex that has been hit? Maybe some offices in there. Certainly it doesn't look like a military complex. I'm not seeing any helipads, tanks, any of that, right? So there's multiple buildings on fire. We're gonna look at that. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay. So this is interesting. So yesterday I liked this tweet. Isn't this crazy? So yesterday I liked this tweet from Disclosed TV, and it says, "Just in, Israel has informed the United States that it is fully ready to launch an operation into Iran." That was yesterday. And then what do we see here today? Breaking news. Explosions heard in Tehran. Israel says it's launching a preemptive strike against Iran. And we're going to get into why it's a preemptive strike and what they're saying, why they feel justified in striking Iran right now. But let's keep going. It says, Israeli official says the military is preparing for days of battle amid strikes on Iran. it's not going to just be a battle, everybody. More than likely, this is going to turn into World War III. And if it doesn't turn into World War III today or tomorrow or the next day, somewhere down the line, it is going to escalate into the Third World War. And we're going to read that in the Bible momentarily. But I just want to give all this information. So again, for anybody that's just now tuning in, Israel has just conducted airstrikes on Iran. And from what my sources are telling me, Iran has in turn prepared to strike Israel. Right? So let's keep going. It says, so we just saw that. Boom. And here we go. Iran has officially retaliated. Missile strikes are on the way to Israel. So now, in the matter of minutes, Israel has bombed Iran. Now Iran is looking to bomb Israel. Now, let me ask you guys something in the chat. Why do you think Israel feels that they have the ability to bomb Iran? Knowing that they are surrounded by countries that do not like them. You know, they had the 6-Day War going back into the, I believe the 1950s, where Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, other countries that surrounded them, they waged war against them. So how is it that a country that is surrounded by enemies and people that don't like them, how is it that they feel emboldened enough to then conduct airstrikes on another sovereign nation? Because they have the support of the United States of America. And what this is Israel essentially now forcing the United States of America to get involved. Somebody said 1960. Thank you for the correction, right? So let's watch this from CNN.
Is it your understanding that this, whatever this operation by Israel is, that it is over and now they're telling people, in Israel, be ready for some sort of response, or is there any indication that this may be ongoing?
We don't know that answer yet. We know simply from social media reports that there have been strikes in Iran. We don't know if this was one and done or if this is a longer operation. Obviously, Israel's capabilities to strike Iran are not limitless. They don't have the sort of range or reach that the U.S. would have to carry out long-range strikes. This is a difficult, complex logistical operation, essentially at or near the edge of Israel's capability to carry out strikes like this. That makes it difficult. So it's unclear yet if this was one round or if we're expecting more here throughout the rest of the early morning. I will say we've just learned from an Israeli official that the National Security Cabinet, Israel's National Security Cabinet, that is, was in a meeting throughout the night leading up to the attack in Iran. So this obviously is something they knew was coming, they prepared for, and that the cabinet was watching as it unfolded.
So they prepared for it, and we don't have the details as of yet whether or not this is going to be an ongoing conflict or if this is just a one-hitter quitter, if you will. If there was just a one-time strike and that's it. Well, what do you think Iran would do if they just got bombed? Their capital just got bombed. Naturally, they would like to reply, I would assume, right? But this has been something that has been discussed and planned for years. Well, how do I know this? Let's take a listen to General Wesley Clark. This is a former United States general. And listen to what he said in an interview. This is, I don't even know how many years ago this is. I mean, we're talking about over 10 years ago. Well over 10 years, probably closer to 15 years ago, closer to 2 decades ago. Look what this U.S. general said. Put a 1 in the chat. Make sure y'all like and share the video. I want to put a 1 in the chat if everybody's listening and following so far. This is something that ultimately God is orchestrating, number one. But number two, has been planned by the United States and its allies for a very long time, right? So let's listen to this.
I saw Secretary Rumsfeld. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do."
Now, again, I don't want to give too much commentary. I want to just present the information. But notice just how disgusting the war machine of the United States of America, the military industrial complex of the United States of America is. This is a former United States general, and he's saying after 9/11, they had he had a meeting with I think Secretary Rumsfeld, and Rumsfeld tells him, "Hey man, we're going to war with Iraq," and he says, "Why?" And the guy says, "I don't know." And the crowd, and he along with the crowd, starts to laugh at that. How many tens of thousands of innocent men, women, and children had their lives stolen from them at the hands of the United States of America's military over something that they had nothing to do with? When you look at the September 11th attacks, I think the majority of the people involved in it were Saudi Arabian. They're from Saudi Arabia. What did Iraq have to do with it? But guess what there was in Iraq? There was gold in Iraq. There's oil in Iraq. There was resources in Iraq. And not only that, but war is a big industry. There's billions and billions. It's Donald Rumsfeld. Thank you. Billions of dollars in war, government contracts, etc. Right? Let's keep going.
So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail.
I need y'all to lock in and listen to what he's getting ready to say. I need you guys to lock in and listen to what this guy's about to say. When I say this guy, this former United States general is about to say. This is almost 20 years ago he said this.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries.
So then he got a memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that details how the United States of America is getting ready to take out 7 countries
in 5 years, starting with Iraq and Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Syria, starting with Iraq, then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran. Well, Libya, we all remember what happened to Libya. We all remember what happened with Muammar Gaddafi and the overthrow of Libya. Somalia, haven't we seen Black Hawk Down? But what we've seen what's going on with Syria, with some of the rebel forces that have been aided by the United States of America to go against Bashar al-Assad. And then finishing off with who, everybody? Who do they say they're going to finish off with?
And then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
And then the last one is Iran. They say that you save the best for last. Why would they save Iran for last? Because Iran is going to be the most difficult one. And that's multifaceted. One, when you look at the Iranian people, before Iran was called Iran, what was it called? It was Persia. When you see movies like 300, the 300, this is Leonidas and the Spartans versus Artaxerxes and the Immortals. These are the Persians. These are people that come from, at one point in time, the Persian Empire was the most powerful empire on the planet Earth. They were some of the most mighty people on the planet Earth. And so they come from a people that have been fighting constantly, number one. And number two, let's go right back to the Bible, everybody. Let's go right back to the Bible. If America goes to war with Iran, who's going to help Iran? Because again, if Israel goes to war, they go to war knowing that their big brother, the United States of America, is going to assist them. But on the flip side, on the other side of the coin, Iran also has a big brother that will go to war if they go to war. Who is that, everybody? Who is that? That's Russia. And we can read about that in the Bible. Let's start here. This is Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 1. And before I read this is why it's so important, everybody, for everyone to get right with God. Now is not the time to be playing games. Now is not the time to be doing things that you ought not. Now is the time to lock in and do what you know that you ought to be doing. Them times where you have the thoughts like, man, I should, where you procrastinate somewhat, or, I could, I should be doing this for God. I should be doing that for God. But, I have time. The time is running out, clearly. All the things that we have been waiting for, all the things that the Bible is describing that will take place prior to Judgment Day, we are literally reading these things right now. And beyond reading them, we are seeing them with our own eyes. Azan, send me a link on that. Any updates with this, everyone? Because I'm live. Please send me a link to it via any social media page of mine, at Brother Hassad on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Right? But again, this is the time for us to really get right with God. We've seen the things that have been going on, the past several years, this year, all this stuff going on within the whole world. And we're right here, everybody. The times where you're like, man, I can't take it no more. Where you feel like this, put a 1 in the chat. There's lately, this past week, you've been feel like, man, I can't take it no more, man. The Christ got to come back soon, because it's overwhelming. Life is overwhelming. Bills are overwhelming. My spouse is overwhelming. My kids, my job, this, that, and the third. All the stress Satan is putting on me. I can't take it no more. It's feeling like I'm gonna crash out. The Most High has stuff like this take place so that you can see it on the news to remind you it's just a little while further. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter and brighter and closer. So all we have to do is sit back and continue to do what God requires of us, which is keep his commandments. So again, let me go back to Ezekiel 38, and it says, verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. When you look at Meshech is the old way of saying Moscow. When you look at Gog, the lands of Magog, when these places, this is modern day Russia. Modern day Russia would be Gog, right? Now, verse 3, look what it says. And thus says the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Then it goes on to say, I will turn you back and put hooks into your jaws. When you put hook in something's jaw, have you ever been fishing? And once that fish bites that hook and you reel it in, you control it. You control where it goes. So God is going to control this empire where it goes. It says, and I will bring you forth and your army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. So it talks about Russia as the army, as, Gog. Then look at the very first nation that it lists as the ally of Russia. Persia. The very first nation that is listed as the ally of Russia in end time prophecy is Persia, which is Iran. What does it say concerning Persia? Then it says Ethiopia and Libya. It says in verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou, you, Russia, and all your company that are assembled unto you, meaning your allies. And what is Russia going to be? And be thou a guard unto them. It says, be a guard unto them. So guess what's going to happen? What could potentially happen? We know what is going to eventually happen, but I'm saying what could potentially happen within the coming days, coming weeks or months. Israel could be going to war against Iran, which would then force the United States of America into a war, which would then force Russia into a war. Do you know what it's called when Russia fights against the United States of America in a direct conflict? It's called World War III. That is why the title of this video is Breaking News, Israel Just Started World War III. And let us not forget that there is a war going on that involves Russia right now against Ukraine. Who is arming Ukraine? The United States of America is arming Ukraine, and NATO is. Oh, NATO. Interesting. We just got done reading about Persia, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya. Did we forget about what happened earlier last year? Did we forget about this? The BRICS summit. Now, let me show y'all this real quick. Hold on. I just got somebody just texted me. So we might have some new developments. We might have some new developments. Give me 1 second. Okay. So before I go into that, let's look at this right here. So this is BRICS. BRICS is an intergovernmental organization comprising of 10 countries. Now, It comprises of 10 countries currently, but originally it was the BRIC. Brazil, Russia, India, China. Then they added South Africa, and now it's called the BRICS Plus, because again, the acronym stood for the member nations. They added the S because of South Africa. But now, wait a minute. It says there's 10 countries. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran. Now, there's also, I want to see if I can find the member states. There's also countries that are partner states and ones that are wanting to join. So remember in Ezekiel chapter 38, we read about Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya. Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya. And ironically enough, what is Iran? Sorry, what is Persia? It says Persia is Iran. Then it says Ethiopia. Well, we know Ethiopia doesn't just comprise of the country of modern day Ethiopia. But anyway, it says Ethiopia is here. So we've got Iran and Ethiopia and Egypt. Libya, North Africa, that's a part of Egypt would be considered a part of North Africa. So some of the players that we see in Ezekiel chapter 38 are allies to Russia right now. So whether or not this current airstrike on Iran, this right here starts World War III, we know that this is just one of the ingredients to World War III. That the Most High is stirring the pot, so to speak. And all these little skirmishes and missile strikes and, this person saying that and that person saying this is just ingredients added to it. Right? Let me keep going. We're going to finish this and then we got some more information to bring up.
I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me.
So they're just laughing about World War III, right? They think it's very funny. So now I want to read this. This is from a while ago. And this is part of the reason why they have launched a preemptive strike, right? So let me see if I can get rid of some of these ads on here. This is via the Haaretz.com. This is the Israeli national newsletter. One of them, at least. One of them is the Jerusalem Times. But this is one of the main news outlets in Israel. And look what it says. This is from, this is from May 31st, 2025. So last month, a few weeks ago. So a few weeks ago, Israel's Netanyahu says international community must act now to stop Iran after IAEA report. What is the IAEA report? Well, let's just read about it. Following a UN watchdog report claiming that Iran has further increased its stockpile of uranium enriched to near weapons grade, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said Tehran is totally determined to complete its nuclear weapons program. We're going to continue. It says, Iran has further increased its stockpile of enriched uranium enriched to near weapons grade levels, a confidential report by the UN nuclear watchdog said Saturday, and called on Tehran to urgently change course and comply with the agency's probe. In response, now I think this is really ironic, given that Israel has nuclear weapons, and that there have even been conspiracies from the United States. I'm not here to speak on that. That's a video for another time. Nonetheless, though, Israel does have nuclear weapons. Yet they're going around to Iran and other countries and saying that you can't have nuclear weapons. How is it fair that Israel gets nuclear weapons and other people don't get nuclear weapons? I don't see how that's very fair, especially in light of what we see going on currently in the Gaza Strip. How people are getting blown to smithereens. How children are being dismembered in the Gaza Strip right now. And Iran is not the ones doing that to them. Israel is. So I find that extremely hypocritical. Nonetheless, we'll continue on. It says, in response, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the report grave, adding that the international community must act now to stop Iran. U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal that Iran could transform its stockpile into weapons-grade 90% fissile material for a nuclear weapon in under 2 weeks. Now, that is really interesting, everybody. This came out May 31st. It is what, June 12th? You guys, they said in under 2 weeks. That was 13 days ago. You know what that is? Under 2 weeks. That is 1 day before exactly 2 weeks. Put a one in the chat if you're following. So Benjamin Netanyahu 13 days ago says, we got to stop Iran. They could create nuclear weapons within 2 weeks. 13 days later, Israel just bombs Iran. We seeing this? If you don't see it, I'm sorry, I have to say you're slow. Now, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but maybe I got to slow down, because to me, it's very clear. And to a lot of us, I think we can clearly see what's going on. To the plain, these things are plain. Somebody said, are these prophecies in the Bible or no? Absolutely. And we just got done reading about a couple of them. Somebody said 13 is an unlucky number and for rebellion. Well, hey, there might be something to that. We just got done reading about in Matthew 24 how Jesus Christ said that there would be wars and rumors of war. How we just got done reading about in Ezekiel chapter 38 how Russia and its allies will be a part of what is going to happen. And what is going to happen is this, everybody. This is what this is all about. Let me see if I can find this real quick. This is Revelation chapter 16, and let me because I have so much stuff pulled up right here. Let me see if I can find something. Give me one moment. Okay. All right. So first, we're going to read this in the book of Revelation. Look at this right here, everybody. In Revelation 16, let's look at this. In verse 12, it says the sixth angel. There's 7 trumpets right here, right? Or this is the 7 trumpets. This is the 7 vials, right? So the 6th vial, the 6th bowl, which represents God's wrath, it says, and the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up. So God has it to where the Euphrates River gets dried up. Why is God having the Euphrates River get dried up? It says that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. What does that mean, the way of the kings of the east? Verse 13, look what it starts off with. Look at the header. Armageddon. We've all heard of Armageddon, right? Armageddon, the end of the world. Somebody said there's always been wars. Here's the problem with that statement. Certainly there have always been wars. There haven't always been wars with countries that have nuclear weapons, though. That's a very new thing in the earth. That is something that is only around 80-something years old. Now, we live in a unique time in human history to where we're not fighting with, spears and swords or even the Gatling gun. We're living in a time in which there are several nations on the planet Earth that have the ability to hit a button and wipe out an entire civilization and kill and decimate tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. So it's not just wars have been here, and human beings have always fought wars. Human beings have not always fought wars with nuclear weapons or anything even remotely close to that. Not only that, we're looking at the most powerful empires in the history of the world that are now fighting amongst each other. We're looking at this when the Bible talks about, again, the way of the kings of the east. Let's read it in the NLT. Look at this, you guys. Let's read it in the NLT. Then the 6th angel poured out his bowl in the great Euphrates River, and it dried up, that the kings from the east could march their armies toward the west without hindrance. What does that mean, that they're marching toward the west? Who are the kings of the east? When you look at NATO was what? The North Atlantic Treaty Organization. What is NATO? The West. That's what it's called. Let's just look up NATO real quick. NATO. Or matter of fact, here's what we'll do. We'll look up a map of NATO, and then we'll look up the Western world, right? Okay, this is perfect, right? This is super perfect. Look at this. So the Western world, also known as the West. primarily, excuse me, primarily refers to various nations and states in Western Europe. Remember that, you guys, Western Europe, Northern America, and Australasia, which is Australia, and then I think it includes New Zealand as well. With some debate as to whether those in Eastern Europe and Latin America also constitute the West, right? So then it goes on to say, in contrast to the Eastern world, also known as the Orient. That is why I'm not going to say the word on YouTube. That is why there's people who are from China or Japan or Korea. There's a word that starts with an O that they refer to in the 20th century. Started with an O, and it has something to do with Orient. That's what they were referred to because the word Orient means East, right? But again, let's look at this map of the Western world, right? Now, again, the dark blue are, like it says right here, countries and territories that are generally considered as part of the Western world, constituents of the Western world. So we have North America and we have Western Europe. Remember this. Forget about the light blue or the Carolina blue, because there's debate amongst whether or not those countries are a part of the West. Look at the ones that are in the dark blue. Those are emphatically the Western countries. Now, look at this. This is NATO. This is a map of the NATO countries. It's the exact same thing. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys see that. It's the exact same thing. So when you see in media or in history or wherever it is you're reading, and you read about the West, when they start talking about the West, the Western world, it's referring to North America, which, that's not even all of North America because it's not including Mexico. It's mainly referring to Western European nations, and then their branch offs. That would include Canada and the United States. It's the exact same thing. So then let's go back to this. I want to see something when we talk about the Orient. So it's just, again, the word Orient just means East. So then, again, going back to Revelation 16, it said the Euphrates River dries up so that the kings of the East can march toward the West. That's what this final battle is about. That's what Armageddon is going into. The Western world versus the Eastern world. And NATO, which is the West, versus the BRICS, which represents the East. Who are the members of the BRICS nations? Let's remember this. We have India, that's a part of the East. Russia, that's a part of the East. China, that's a part of the East. Iran, a part of the East. Ethiopia, a part of the East. The United Arab Emirates, these are a part of the East. This is the Eastern Bloc. That's where you read about the Western Bloc versus the Eastern Bloc. This is what we are getting ready to see. And thank you to all the super chatters. I know I might have missed a few, but this is something that, I want to make sure I'm able to touch upon this as we go into this. So all praises to the Most High. Let me continue to now go into a few things. Somebody said Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Their allies do. But it's a part of the United States' propaganda, which is funny you say that because we're getting ready to go into it. It's a part of the United States of America and their allies' propaganda to say that Iran has nuclear weapons. This isn't our first rodeo. I was a child at the time, but even I can remember George Bush? Put on 1 in the chat if you remember George Bush said, they have weapons of mass destruction. Talking about Iraq and Afghanistan. Saddam Hussein, we don't know what he's got. He's got weapons of mass destruction. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember that. Now, ultimately, we didn't find any weapons of mass destruction, did we? But they use this as a what? As a justification to then go to war. Because then what does the average United States of America, what does the average U.S. citizen say? Oh, my God. They have weapons of mass destruction. So we have to stop them. We have to save those people from their communism and their tyranny that's going on over there. Oh, my God, look at all the stuff that they're doing over there. They're monsters. We send the troops over there to save everybody. But there was no saving. There was no saving going on. And listen, there's brothers that I personally know that are in the chat right now. And if you want to, not just the brothers that I know, but if anybody that's a service member that was in Iraq or in Afghanistan, you can feel free to comment. How much saving did you guys do? Did you, when you went to Iraq and Afghanistan, did you leave thinking, wow, we really helped these people. We really saved them. God knows what would happen if we just let Saddam and all these people with their weapons of mass destruction. Did you find any weapons of mass destruction? Or did you find some poppy plants for heroin? Did you find some oil? Did you find some gold? So this isn't our first rodeo, everybody. But they're playing into the people's ignorance and stupidity. And I know I'm going on a bit of a rant. I'm going to get into some more information momentarily. But just think about this, right? Why is it that they think that they can play the same script over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and think that it's going to work over and over and over and over and over again? Well, because it does work, because most people eat it up. And we have been trained to believe that this is the land of the free, the home of the brave, that America is the golden standard, that America is the greatest country in the world, and America is just basically God's kingdom on earth and is trying to go around and just help everybody from these bad terrorists, right? Anyway, let's go into this because, again, like we've been speaking on this entire thing, this is not a new script. They have been planning for this for a very long time. So what is this that is on the screen? This is from July 31st. So about a year ago of last year. This is the joint resolution. I think this was started by Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. And this is a joint resolution from the Democrats and the Republicans. It says, Resolution 106. It's a little bit of reading, but y'all just walk with me. It says to authorize the use of United States Armed Forces. Let me zoom in a little bit. Hold on, y'all. Put on one in the chat if y'all can see this. One in the chat if we can all see this. Let me know if this is good. Okay, all praise to the Most High, right? So let's continue reading. It says to authorize the use of United States Armed Forces against the Islamic Republic of Iran for threatening the national security of the United States through the development of nuclear weapons. Again, we're going to read this, but how don't you guys find that really interesting? The United States of America, the country that developed nuclear weapons, so the country that made nuclear weapons and is the only country in the history of the world to use nuclear weapons offensively against anybody, is saying that it is a threat for somebody else to just simply have them. Somebody that they don't approve of. Interesting. Let's continue. It then goes on to say, Mr. Graham, in the Senate of the United States, Mr. Graham, this is Senator Lindsey Graham, introduced the following joint resolution, which was read twice and referred to the Committee on Foreign Relations. Joint resolution. To authorize the use of United States Armed Forces against the Islamic Republic of Iran for threatening the national security of the United States through the development of nuclear weapons. Whereas, since the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the Islamic Republic of Iran has engaged in acts of international terrorism and continuously threatened the United States, Israel, and partners and allies. That's all this is really about. All this is really about is Israel. Because the United States of America is not seriously worried or concerned with it attacking us, the United States, because the United States understands that would be a death sentence for Iran. But they are worried about Israel because, number one, Israel's closer, and Israel is less advanced technologically in terms of their not nuclear, but just military capacity than the United States of America is. A lot of the funding that they get for their military and a lot of the weapons that they get is from the United States directly. Let's keep going. It says, whereas on January 19th, 1984, the United States designated the Islamic Republic of Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism for repeatedly providing support for acts of international terrorism. Whereas on April 11, 2006, the Islamic Republic of Iran announced that it had enriched uranium for the first time to a level close to 3.5% at the Natanz pilot fuel enrichment plant, Natanz, Iran. And then it goes on to talk about, basically it's giving in chronological order how Iran has upgraded its nuclear weapons capability. It was at 3.5% in this year, and then it's steadily been going up and up and up until now. We just got done reading 13 days ago. Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, said that it has reached 90% grade. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost 100% sure that 90% enriched uranium is always the standard that they use for whether or not they can create nuclear weapons. They're always talking about 90% enriched uranium, 90% enriched uranium, 90% enriched uranium, right? But anyway, let's continue. Let's keep going. See, it just gives a chronological order. So let's just now read the ending part. Listen to this, you guys. Section 1, authorization for the use of military force against the Islamic Republic of Iran. The president, so this is something that Lindsey Graham and other people put in they're trying to put in legislation. And look at what it gives the president of the United States the power to do. Let me zoom in a little bit more so that we can all read this. The president is authorized to use all necessary and appropriate force against the Islamic Republic of Iran. If the president determines that the Islamic Republic of Iran is in the process of possessing a nuclear weapon that threatens the national security interests of the United States, or possesses uranium enriched to weapons grade level, possesses a nuclear warhead, or possesses a delivery vehicle capable of carrying a nuclear warhead that threatens the national security interests of the United States. There is so much to unpack here, you guys. William Stevens, are you talking about the bombings that just took place in Tehran right now? If so, please send me. Oh wow, the chief of the Iran Revolutionary Guard Army was killed in that last strike. Breaking news. Listen, you guys, I'm here reporting on some of the news. I'm trying to get my reporter on. I need my sources. I need you guys to send me some of these sources. I need y'all to, if you have my phone number and you got the source, you can call me. I'm gonna put you on speaker. Don't say nothing crazy. If you want to give your damn cousin a shout out, that's fine. And give me the sources so we can all go into this. We got 500 people watching, and we would all like to read all that, right? But again, let's just kind of unpack all this. So this will give the president of the United States the authorization to use all necessary and appropriate force. Well, how do they determine what's necessary and appropriate? Because the same United States that's saying this also put Agent Orange in Vietnam. Was that necessary and appropriate? What about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki when Japan was already getting ready to surrender, killing thousands of women and children? What about some of this? We want to talk about some of this. We were just talking about Iraq and Afghanistan. How about some of the human rights violations that they were doing in Iraq and Afghanistan? Some of the torture that they were doing. Some of the torture that goes on in Guantanamo Bay. Somebody said it's on CNN. Okay. Well, we will leave this momentarily. Let's go see. Let's go check out what CNN's talking about. Let's see what CNN's talking about. One moment. Oh, we have okay. Benjamin Netanyahu has given his words. This is about 20 minutes ago. So let's take a listen.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades.
Okay. Let me ask you guys something. Should I just let it play, or should I let it play and then give commentary, or whenever some juicy stuff gets said, stop it and give commentary? Y'all let me know, because there's people that be hitting me up pissed. Like, God damn it, nigga, just let the video play. That was crazy what he said. You guys heard what he said? Okay, so we got one person that says stop it. We got one person that says let it play. So we're 1-1. Somebody said do whatever I want to do. I ain't gonna lie. Joshua, you're all right with me. Somebody make him a moderator. Okay, so I'm gonna go with what Joshua said. I'm gonna do whatever I want on my show. All right. So let's go back and let's listen to what he said.
A targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival.
he is saying that all this, what's going on, is to ensure Israel's survival. That what Iran is doing with their 90% enriched uranium is threatening their very existence. And that they're going to continue doing this until when are they going to stop? This is the question, right, everybody? Well, how long is this attack going to ensue? When is this battle going to end? What's going to happen? Well, Benjamin Netanyahu tells you.
This operation will continue for as many days as it takes.
However long. Do you guys understand what that means for however long? What does that mean for however long? That could be a year. That could be 2 years. That could be 5 years. That could be 20 years. Do you know what you call a battle is like a short conflict? Do you know what you call a enlonged conflict? You call it a war. What is this? This is essentially a declaration of war. Put a 1 in the chat if we understand that. Like if imagine if somebody's bullying you at school. If someone's bullying you at school and you punch him in the mouth one time, and then they're like, okay, well, that guy punched me in the mouth. That didn't feel good. I think we're going to stop. That's a battle. But if every single day you're punching this person in the mouth, that's a war. And Benjamin Netanyahu is saying, we're going to punch Iran rather, in the mouth as many times as it takes. That's a war. We all understand that. We are joined by a special guest, my brother, Priest Hakah, all praises to the Most High, a.k.a. Deacon Hakah. Anything that you would like to add thus far, brother? Nope. Okay, we're on mute. All right, we'll continue.
To remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
I'm sorry, you guys, I don't want to keep stopping it, but do you hear how much of a hypocrite this guy is? He's talking about Iran that wants to just genocide, right? The people over there in Israel. Meanwhile, they are bombing the Gaza Strip. That is a tiny block, essentially, that's got 2 million people there, women and children that are being dismembered on a daily basis. Food and water and basic necessities are being cut off from those people in the Gaza Strip. The toilet, running water, taking a shower, these various things. His administration, Benjamin Netanyahu's administration, is actually conducting a genocide. But then is saying that Iran is? These are just crazy words, because here's what it is, everybody, and I got to be really careful how I say this. I got to be really careful, you guys. So just I'm gonna speak a little cryptically, but my chat, I have this. Listen, y'all in the audience, I have the smartest audience in the world, right? So you guys are gonna get what I'm coming from. When you hear the word genocide by itself, it's crazy, right? Genocide is, oh, that's the worst type of side, right? But then when you hear it in relation to, I guess got to say it, Jewish people, okay? All bets are off, because we all go back to what took place in the 1940s. And we are constant. This is why in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, all throughout our life, we are constantly reminded about the atrocities that took place in the 1940s. It starts with an H and it has cost in it. All right. I'm not going to say the word. You know what it is. I'm not here to dispute whether or not the numbers are accurate. Bad things happened. It wasn't good. There we go. We all get it, right? But immediately when people hear that, they're thinking, oh my God, that's going to happen again? No, we can't do that. Look at the big bad Iranians. They're going to try to do the blank cost. They're trying to remix it. We can't do that. We have to bomb Iran. Those people are monsters. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys understand that. Somebody said the high yellow cost. No, that's too close. I'm not even going to say that again. But put a 1 in the chat if you understand. This is the type of propaganda that he's attempting to posit to the world. That essentially they're in danger of another cost. They're in danger of another cost. And because of that, they have to go and bomb these people. Yes, something you wanted to say?
Mind you, nowhere in the Bible is it prophesied that the Israelites will be in their land and
Getting costed.
Getting nah, man. When they come against us, when we get back to the land, they get obliterated.
Yep.
What's going on with the chat though, man? Make sure you guys like and share. Don't come in here and dine and dash. It's going down. You touched on the No Kings March yet?
No, listen, don't worry, we're getting there. Holy moly, we've got some breaking news.
Let's go.
We got some breaking news, everybody. Like and share the video. We've got some breaking news. If you got some Hennessy or some Cavassier or some E&J, whatever type of damn cognac you sip, go ahead and pour you up a cup.
I got this Cristalino.
Yeah, listen, whatever it could, some Everclear. Oh, don't drink no Everclear. But look at this via RT News. Iranian media reports that Iran will officially declare war against Israel following the strikes tonight. Oh my God. Iranian media, this is Russia's top news outlet. Iranian media reports that Iran will officially declare war against Israel following the strikes tonight. Let's give to God a hands, all praises to the Most High.
And they might say, well, why are you guys clapping your hands? You're going to get Revelation 11 and 12. If we are them men, we will descend up to heaven before the ultimate plagues hit. Revelation 18 and 4. Come ye out of her, my people, that you partake not in her plagues. That's literal deliverance. So yeah, we're going to clap to that. What did the Bible say about that?
The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. That's in Psalm 58 and 10.
Hey, and he what does it say in the Apocrypha? Beautified. We stand beautified. Yeah, we stand beautified in a few things, and that's to become, you know, a loving father, a loving father, and one to live to see the downfall of his enemies, man. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. See, a lot of Israelites out here, you guys are scared. You know why? Because you haven't done enough. You're not doing enough. Your house isn't in order. Your life's not in order. Your ministry's not in order. You're not doing enough. And so therefore, you're not as happy as we are when we see this shit. You understand that?
Yep.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Vocab Malone. Hi, Vocab Malone. Hey, I want everybody to just wave hi to Vocab. I'm gonna tell you why. I posted this. I just remember this 1 year ago. I posted this on my YouTube little community. And it says via the Telegraph, Donald Trump said Joe Biden had left the globe on the brink of World War III after a drone attack on a base in Jordan killed 3 U.S. troops. Revelation 11 and 14, I posted, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Right? Just posted that. Now, I didn't say that with this post that started World War III. I'm just saying I'm posting the verse that it comes quickly, that these are all things leading up to it. And, you know, me and Vocab are cool, but I just remembered, just for whatever reason, I remembered him saying this on my little thing. He said, Assad has officially joined the ranks of false prophets in 2024. Now, I am not even saying that this thing going on with Israel and Iran right now is the beginning of World War III.
Wait, who are you talking about right now?
Vocab.
Okay, let's put him on the screen. Go ahead. Mug shots. We got mug shots and receipts on you guys. Go ahead, brother.
But I'm saying this. I'm saying, hey, buddy, we're getting pretty close. Okay. It just so happens that all the stuff that we're saying is starting to happen, man. So I think you should be worried, dude. All right. That's all I'm saying. But hey, Great Millstone said you might go back to the Moors, so you'll be all right. But anyway. Hi, Tar. Hi, everybody. Hello.
Riser.
So, okay, let's go back to this again. Breaking news. Iranian media reports that Iran will officially declare war against Israel following the strikes tonight. Massive retaliation expected. Not only that, the Iranian chief of staff, General Hossein Salami, has been killed in tonight's attacks. Not only that, their other chief of staff of the armed forces was targeted by Major General Mohammed Bagheri was also killed. So they killed some top Iranian leadership, and Iran doesn't like that. Did you guys think Iran forgot about General Soleimani? Remember Donald Trump bombed Iran and killed General Soleimani? This is all leading up to the end of the world. Let me just get some verses in the Bible real quick. And before we do, matter of fact, let's see this. They posted this. Oh my God. This is on Twitter. Iran News Agency in Arabic. The voice of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the Arab world. Officially licensed by the Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance. So this is their official Twitter page. And I mean, the world's going to end soon, you guys. Okay? I mean, that's what I'm going to tell you. What do you mean it's going to end soon? You mean tomorrow? Do you mean the next day? I don't know exactly when, but I know it's when. How do I know I know it's soon, not when. I know it's soon because we're living in a time where a country just bombed the country, and the country that was bombed responds by going on social media and posting this picture. It's bombs on Israel, and it says coming soon. Remember the song Bombs Over Baghdad? They just posted bombs over Baghdad on Twitter.
Man, hey, what a time. And you know what? To think, Hassad, we have the biggest debate in our life coming up that we cannot tell anybody until this weekend. The biggest debate of our lives coming up. We might not make it to that aside. All praises to the Most High.
Who knows? I mean, this is just like our camp slogan, their end, our beginning. This is the beginning of their end.
Yeah, man, there's so much going on. But at the end of the day, it's crazy because the Bible calls these nations out by name. I'm not sure if you
I went into Ezekiel 38.
Yeah, Ezekiel 38, Jeremiah 51. It calls out the names of these kingdoms that are going to take part in destroying Babylon and also taking part in Armageddon. Remember, we did the Lake of Fire video, and most of the brothers in camps, they saw it through the spirit. There's a couple brothers who haven't, but this also goes into that. The true location of the Lake of Fire. Is it the missiles, or is it supernatural fire from upon high? Is it Armageddon, or is it the Valley of Jehoshaphat? This all goes into that. This, what we're seeing today, is going to play a part in all of that. Mm-hmm. They can no longer lie no more, Hassad, and try to just say it's a regional war. This thing is worldwide, man.
Yeah, and I want to just read this. I don't know, for whatever reason, this scripture just came to mind. I haven't read this scripture. I don't know, but for whatever reason, this scripture just came to mind. This is Isaiah 33 in verse. I'm gonna start at verse 1. I'm not even gonna read verse 1. I'm just look at the topic right here. The judgment of God. Then look what it says in verse 14. The sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness hath surprised the hypocrites. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? I read this to say that, listen, you guys, we don't need to be afraid when we see stuff like this. This is good news. It says the sinners in Zion are afraid, because the beginning of the end is also synonymous with becoming closer and closer to Judgment Day. If you're doing what the Most High wants you to do, and when I say don't be afraid, of course, there's going to be a natural, like, well, oh my God, I want to examine myself, make sure that I'm doing what I need to do. But more than anything, this is good news. This is a sign of the times that the Messiah is getting ready to come back. So your first thought, if you're wicked, then yeah, hell yeah, this is scary. But guess what? You need to get right with God yesterday. All right, not today, yesterday, because we are getting ready to see the destruction of this place, Lord willing.
Now, real quick though, there's a get me Revelation 11. Pull up Revelation 11 and go to
the nations. We're afraid.
No. It says that we were shook up, but we still gave glory.
This is Revelation chapter 11, and
they were shaken. They were
glory. Revelation 11. Here we go. Revelation 11. I'll start at verse 13. It says, in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of them 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
And the remnant were affrighted.
You see that? The remnant. So it doesn't mean we're not going to be scared like how the wicked are going to be scared. We're going to be affrighted like holy-ish. The Most High just did that.
Yep. So
we're not saying, brothers and sisters, if you got you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, that the book says do to be a part of this elect and get that deliverance, you still will be affrighted because of the way in the last minute salvation. We call it last minute salvation. Why? Because right before the plagues hit, right before the ultimate plague and the missiles hit, the righteous Israelites are getting delivered. So you're still gonna be shaking in your boots, while on that chariot. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we want to scare you guys. We want to scare you guys into getting right. You know what I mean? What the Bible say, we persuade men through fear, but it's really not a game though, because fear, the king of terrors is coming.
Yeah. To T-Mac's point, he said, no diss to you, bro, but Israel has hit Iran before. Certainly they have, with Scud missiles and minor weapons. What we're seeing right here is not only non-minor weapons, but people's lives have been lost. Not just any people, top Iranian officials in the army, in the Iranian armed forces, generals we're talking about.
And really, Salakia too. T-Mac, this is just YouTube, bro. Chill out. Like, I know you didn't say this, but this is not just T-Mac, everybody. Y'all take YouTube titles so hyper literal. You gotta chill out. To be honest with you, World War III has been in progress. So, like, yeah, the title is some major escalations happening right now, and some new key players advancing. But World War III has been happening. When you got the Chinese, Taiwan, the Houthis, Iran, who are backed by Iran, and then Israel, and then you got of course, Ukraine, Russia, America involved in all of that. This is a worldwide conflict.
Yeah. Somebody just said in the chat, and I will fact check momentarily, Faridan Abbasad, Iran's former head of atomic energy organization, was killed. Basically, the dude who's in charge of making nuclear bombs. Well, the former dude in charge of making nuclear bombs, who I'm sure was still assisting in certain capacities, if I'm just to guess. So again, they've killed people. Could you imagine if Russia bombed the United States of America in Washington, D.C. and killed Condoleezza Rice? Huh? Or whoever, who are some of the top officials in Trump's cabinet right now? Or they killed, what's Powell? Who am I thinking of, Deacon? Help me out. Someone help me in the chat. God,
Colin Powell. Colin Powell's been out though.
I know, but I'm saying I don't know who's the people of the cabinet. For whatever reason, they're black. They came to mind. All right. Could you imagine if Russia bombed
Reed. There's a guy named I think it's Chris Pipe or something like that. And he is I think he's the head of security. But either way, what Assad is saying is if they bombed one of them, if one of them got hit with a missile, what do you think would happen?
Right. All praises to the Most High.
Somebody said Elon Musk. Now it's beef teriyaki right now with Elon Musk and Trump, or did they hash things out?
They somewhat hash things out. But
somebody said Jerome Powell. I don't know who that is. Colin Powell's little brother. Iranian. Somebody says they're an Iranian Christian. People stay safe and strong. I did see a march in Iran. No, it was Iraq. I seen a march in Iraq with all these Iraqi Christians with this white Jesus. The devil done beat the hell out of you guys. Remember that $1 trillion in natural resources that they found? Whatever happened to that $1 trillion of natural resources that they found under the earth in Iraq? Did they ever extract that and use that for the people? or did they extract it and take it to America, or did they leave it there and say, oh, we can't excavate it? The devil. Oh, here's Gary with the rapture. Gary, you're not going to be mowing your lawn and then God takes you your polo shirt and your Levi jeans just automatically are a pile of clothes. The lawnmower keeps going. Chill out, Gary.
Real quick, everybody. We got around 600 people in here. Let's try to get this video to 450 likes real quick. Let's try to get to 450, 500 likes. And on the screen right here, what you are seeing is some of the footage from these strikes on Tehran. So I'm gonna just play this real quick. Speaking Arabic, don't know what he's saying, but as you can see, there's smoke in the air. See a little miniature mushroom cloud right there. So wow, there goes another one. Oh wow, I don't know if I can. Yep, we're gonna have to keep going. Hopefully YouTube doesn't see that one. That was a person who's. That looks like a. Here, I'm gonna take this off the screen. You guys might have seen that. I don't think I can show that on YouTube, but wow, that was a child. So Israel has just bombed again Tehran, the capital of Iran, and children have suffered because of it. So I would certainly imagine that Iran is going to have a response, and that the response is going to be, at equal or greater than what they received. What also is going on at the exact same time, this is crazy. The world is obviously coming to an end. If you can't get it, don't know what to tell you. Let's go back to the Bible. This is 2 Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. Look at this right here. 2 Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when you see part of the signs pass, which I've told you before, so when you see some of these prophecies come to pass, the ones in Jeremiah, the ones in Ezekiel, the ones in Isaiah, then you shall understand, verse 2 now, then you shall understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, Christ said that there will be nation against nation, wars, rumors of wars. Now we see Ezra receiving a similar vision. He kind of adds to it and says that there will be uproars of the people. And now this weekend we have this in 2 days, June 14th, this Saturday, the No Kings March. So it says, this is via nokings.org. In America, we don't do kings. They defied our courts, deported Americans, disappeared people off the streets, attacked our civil rights, and slashed our services. The corruption has gone too far. No thrones, no crowns, no kings. They're saying that Donald Trump's essentially acting like a tyrannical king, and they're protesting it. Where are they protesting it? Is this going to be some small little demonstration? No. It's all over the country.
Yeah, real quick, for you brothers that are holding camp this Saturday, keep in mind, look at all those places. See, 2 Ezra 15 says the people will rise against the government and they're going to win. There's 360 million people in America, and let me see. There are, hold on. How many law enforcement agencies in the U.S.? 1,800. So there's about 18,000. I'm sorry. 20,000 police agencies in the U.S. 20,000 agencies in the U.S. And so I think that makes up about a million sworn in officers. About 1 million sworn in officers. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine 359 million people? Now, let's just say 100 million. 100 million versus 1 million. 100 million versus 1 million. This is why the prophecy says that the people's courses are the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Man, they are going to have the up and succeed in doing this. So when you brothers are going to camp this weekend, be mindful that a freeway might be shut down. You know, a protest might come by your camp. It may get sticky. There may be some violence, or hell might break loose. There might be some rioting. So y'all brothers, keep watch. You understand? So do a zoom in on some of the major cities. This is a really asserted and collected effort here that this No King's March is crazy. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if so the Marines are in LA, but this is not just LA. This is all across Babylon.
They're going to be in Charlotte. Uh-oh. That's a major. So the stars, I think, are the major ones. So the major ones they've got are Phoenix, Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, that's probably DC, right? Philadelphia. Where's this? Chicago. Those 5. Or 6, rather. But they're going to be all over. Let's see. They're going to be in Seaside, Oregon. They're going to be in
Clackamas,
Oregon. Well, they might. You know what? Matter of fact, they might be in Clackamas. There's Tillamook. Some of these places I've never even heard of. Anyway, they'll be in LA. I mean, basically, this is every city in the country. Every probably city with over 10,000 people.
Chosen of Yahweh Yahweh Shah. You mean 360 million? Yeah, 360 million is what they say, just about. But it's going down. It is going down. What site is that? Just put the link to that site in the chat. Y'all be careful. Go out there, teach the gospel, rebuke the Gentile, warn our people. But make sure y'all are moving wise as a serpent out there.
And everybody, I want to read the scripture to y'all. What you should be thinking right now, if you're not doing what you ought to be doing by keeping God's commandments, is this right here. Isaiah 55:6. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and then let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. It says, seek the Lord while he may be found, because there's going to come a day where you're not going to be able to find God, where you think that you can continue to play games with God and you're not going to win stupid prizes. I speak about this when I teach all the time. We grew up in a society where it's encouraged. Not only is it tolerated, everybody, but it's encouraged. Put a one in the chat if you've ever heard this before. You know, get it out of your system in your early 20s. You go to college, you can be a big old freak and, you know, just go crazy. And then once you get a little older, then you slow down. Then you get right with God. Then you find the girl, settle down, give your life over to Jesus. But that's after living half your life saying basically F you to God. Knowingly doing wrong against him under the guise of, well, you know, I'm young and, you know, God's going to forgive me. When you actually read about the God of the Bible, not the God of your mother or your grandmother, you start to see something completely different. We're talking about a God who kills people when they are trying to do the right thing. I'll give an example. There's a man named, I think, not Uriah, Uhijah, I believe. Somebody can correct me. I'm trying to remember his name. In the book of, it was either 1st or 2nd Samuel, might even be in Kings. He tries to grab the Ark of the Covenant when it's falling. He's thinking, oh, I'm doing the right thing. The Ark of the Covenant of God is about to fall. Let me try to grab it so it doesn't fall. He touches it and he drops dead there immediately. In Leviticus chapter 10, Uzziah, I believe. Thank you. In Leviticus chapter 10, Aaron's sons sacrifice the wrong incense on the altar and they die. In Exodus chapter 6, I believe, Moses doesn't circumcise his children. Moses, who at this time is the most righteous person on planet Earth, and one could make the argument, and I wouldn't argue against it, that Moses is the second most righteous human that's ever existed, behind Jesus Christ, of course. And God almost killed Moses. In Ezekiel chapter 24, halfway into the book of Ezekiel, God tells Ezekiel, I'm going to kill your wife, and you're not allowed to cry about it. The story of Job. Like, I could continue to go on and on and on. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Christ is praying, saying, Father, let it not, I don't want to drink of this cup. Nevertheless, not my will be done, but your will be done. And guess what? God still killed him. So I'm saying all that to say that you think you can continue to see all these things, know that you're operating on limited time, and play with God and think that everything's going to be okay? Why? Because you were baptized when you were a kid? That what you think? You didn't even want to be baptized, dummy. You didn't want to wake up that Sunday morning. You were a little kid that wanted to watch cartoons and eat cereal. But your grandmother made you put on that ridiculous suit and get baptized in that church. And the pastor put hands on your forehead and you started saying, should about a Honda, should about a Honda. And you was faking it the whole time. But you think that what? Oh, God knows your heart? He does know your heart. He's the one that created your heart. And he knows that you're full of it. So now is not the time to be playing with God, everybody. All right? Now is the time to get right with God. Now is the time to do what God requires of us. And it's really simple. All right? Keep God's commandments.
It's not grievous. It's not grievous, period.
Period, point blank. All right? Anything that you wanted to say in closing?
Nah, hey, watch. Keep watching. Keep sending us information as well. So that we could report on it and marry it with the Bible, make it cohesive with the scripture, and just love each other. And we'll see y'all on live class tomorrow if it be the Lord's will. That's it.
All praises to the Most High. I'm going to end this by reading one. I'm going to read something real quick, y'all. Don't go nowhere. Y'all need to listen to this right here. This is 2 Ezra 16. And let me read this. Right? 2 Ezra 16. And I mean, really, this whole chapter is Deacon, it's so cold. This is a crazy chapter right here. But I want to start at verse. I'm going to encourage everybody, when y'all watch, after y'all get done, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. Everybody go read this entire chapter. 2 Ezra 16. And we will start at verse. Okay. We'll start at verse 64. I want to start at verse 62. Yea, and the Spirit of Almighty God, which made all things, and searcheth out all hidden things in the secrets of the earth. Surely he knows your inventions and what you think in your hearts, even them that sin and would hide their sin. Therefore hath the Lord exactly searched out all your works. For those who think that they can sin and get away with it, or hide it and act as if they're so righteous, he will put you to shame. This is what God's going to do. He's going to put people to shame. And when your sins are brought forth, you shall be ashamed before men, and your own sins shall be your accusers in that day. These people that are saying that they love God so much and, oh, God this, God that, they're going to be brought to trial. And they're going to say, well, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And then the prosecuting attorney is going to say, oh, really? Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. And he's going to have to go around a few hundred times. This is Exhibit A, number 53. Right? We'll keep going. It says, and what will you do? Or how will you hide your sins before God and his angels? Behold, God himself is the judge. Fear him. Leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall God lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. Any sin that you're doing, anything that you're struggling with right now, it's natural. As human beings, there's things that we're going to struggle with. But now is the time to be real with yourself and understand that you have the ability to get over and conquer whatever sin that is troubling you. I think it's in 1 Corinthians 10 when Paul says, there is no temptation that is taken you, but that which is common to man. So as much as you find it difficult, like, man, I'm struggling with this or I'm struggling with that, your fear of God should enable you to overcome that. Because for example, for somebody that is struggling with smoking, I guarantee you, if I put a gun to your head and say, hey, you can't smoke ever again, or I'm going to blow your brains out, wouldn't be too hard for you to not smoke ever again if there was a gun constantly pointing at your head. Well, guess what? There is a gun constantly pointing at your head. Anytime you sin against God, he points a gun at your head. Because it says the wages of sin, your reward for sin is what, everybody? Death. Dying. Your reward for committing sin is dying. Tobit 12, it says, they that sin are enemies against their own life. So every time you sin against God, you're essentially playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun. So keep playing. Don't keep playing with God. I'm not even going to say keep playing with God if you want to. Don't keep playing with God. Get rid of your sins. For Wooder Racks, I got a ton of videos in the storage. Don't worry. They're coming out soon, Lord willing. And all praise to the Most High. Love y'all. Listen, stay prayed up. Pray for each other. Send us some prayers up for me, please. Send some prayers up for the nation. Make sure y'all keep God's commandments. Love each other. All praise to the Most High. Shalom.